Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And tonight, this is a Nerdrotic premieres, which is we sometimes take a look at a TV series, cover the first episode, see if it grabs us or not, or in the right places. I'm not sure. But tonight we're covering Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan from Amazon Prime, home of The Expanse. So we have to give it a chance. With me tonight is my co-host Dennis Bethalkis in San Diego. How are you, Dennis?
I'm doing good, and it touched me on the doll here.
It did. Okay.
And I think right here.
How does that make you feel?
Not that great.
Gosh dang it, my notes are just flimsy right now. So yeah, let's we're gonna start breaking this down. It's hard. It's a pilot episode. It's hard to judge stuff on a pilot. We saw the creator at Comic-Con. And it sounded kind of interesting. It's got John Krasinski. Is that how you say his last name?
John Krasinski.
Guy from A Quiet Place and The Office. Never really watched The Office. So,
me either.
I can't say if I'm a fan or not. Yeah, no Melissa tonight, unfortunately. She got home late from work. She actually just got home right now. So she'll be on some other time. We'll get it together sometime, but to get Mrs. Nerdrotic on here. But it's not she doesn't want to be on here, but she was hungry and tired. So it's all good. Yeah, let's start breaking down the episode here. Because don't worry, we've had some concern and I want to address it again. We're not going to go normie on you. That's impossible because I wouldn't consider myself a normie. So I'm not really into shows that are just like dramas and about life or anything. It's got to have a wizard or some spaceships or a drug deal gone bad.
Yeah. I think Mr. Robot and Counterpart is about as normie as we get, right?
Yeah. I mean, Better Call Saul, but that's an insane show in itself. But yeah, that's about as normie as we get. So, but we thought it'd give it, I am a fan. I liked Patriot Games. I like the Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan stuff. I thought it was cool. Yeah. So we'll thought we'd check it out. We'll let you know what we think. By the way, before we even get started, Dennis.
Yeah, that's right. We should say spoilers. So if you haven't watched the first episode, it's on Amazon Prime. Actually, the entire series is up on Amazon Prime. And also another, just disclaimer, I have watched the first 4 episodes. So I went a little bit further, I know, than Gary did, just to see what it was.
Yeah, and Melissa did give me her thoughts. I will pass them on. She saw 6 episodes. Yeah, so let's get going.
Yeah. So I was going to go for this kind of like more basic than anything else than we normally do, because honestly, in this first episode, it's just more setup than anything else. There's really not a lot of meat to it, I guess you could say. It's kind of a hard one to unpack, I guess, because it was kind of that bare bones, which is kind of weird for a Tom Clancy, story. It's kind of like they took a Tom Clancy movie and stretched it out a little bit. So.
I guess you could address the elephant in the room. It's going to be, I'm curious to see, and we do not get political here ever, so don't worry, but considering the current times, how they were going to go about a show like this. Now, I, for one, I'm not the person who has a problem with anything. If they want to do a spy show and there's some bad guys and the bad guys are over there, fine. It's a show. It's not real. So it doesn't bother me in the least bit. So, and that's what these Tom Clancy shows are. They're spy thrillers, and it's supposed to be kind of, flipping the script. It starts out with, Jack Ryan's the analyst. He's not like a big, he's not James Bond, but he always finds himself in the middle of these crazy situations because he's such a brilliant guy. So that's the way it is. So yeah, it starts out with, we're in the Middle East. We're in Lebanon in 1983. We see some kids playing soccer, and then their town gets blown up. We're assuming it's American jets, I assume it.
Yeah. They really don't tell you too much on that. And again, what Gary was saying, so we come in with Jack Ryan being an analyst, and we see him rowing, his day, I guess you could say his morning, how he's starting off.
Yeah, it starts out right after, we get this little, the beginning of the episode is just the kids getting blown up
Yeah.
in 1983, and then we're back in present day, and we see Jack rowing. Yeah, that's right.
And just to give an example of, like, we see him riding his bike to work, and this guy cuts him off, in his car, and yells at him. And I'd recognize the actor who yelled at him, who is played by, excuse me, Wendell Pierce, who was on Suits. He actually played Meghan Markle's father on that show. So that's how I knew who he was. And I said, oh, and that's your new boss that just cut you off. Not thinking anything of it. And sure enough, that's his new boss.
Yep.
So they of course start off at a bad relationship right there, from him cutting him off with his car.
And that's who James Earl Jones played.
Yes, exactly.
In the movies.
And so, and this is the thing that kind of, I don't like this in my comics, and I don't like this in my movies or TV series either, is when you retcon a character. And in Hunt for Red October, the original one with, way back in the 80s there with Harrison Ford.
No, it was Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, yeah. Oh, no, that's right. Harrison Ford wasn't. Yeah, he was the later.
He took over in Clear and Present Danger and Patriot Games.
So he was just an analyst. He had never seen any action, nothing like that. He just got brought in, and now they've kind of retconned him to be a Marine, and he's getting into all these situations, and that kind of disturbs me. Like I said, I don't like retconning characters just to fit a narrative, honestly, if you're going to do that.
Yeah, and we see him biking to work, doing basic stuff, and we meet Greer. We get little scenes of him. He can't sleep, because he's got PTSD.
Mm-hmm. We're having flashbacks of him in the military.
And this is not to sound insensitive to anybody with PTSD, but it seems like it's a kind of a trope in Hollywood right now. It's a lot of people have it. It's in a lot of stories. And if they want to make it more current, that's fine. It didn't really bother me. It also shows, how he gets kind of lost in his work, and maybe that's why he's such a good analyst, is because he doesn't sleep and he's a bit of a workaholic, which is fine. Mm-hmm. It's the whole episode was just that. And then he meets Greer in the office, and they have that exchange, which was
so we kind of get the idea from his former boss, I guess, that's sitting right across the table from him, when Greer comes in to introduce himself, and he has everyone go around the table, and Jack brings up, what he's been working on and what he theorizes is a new Bin Laden, essentially coming into power from all these transactions. Because what they're doing is they're just they're looking at all these transactions of large amounts of money, and he's seeing $9 million getting moved around from this one account. And his boss sitting across from him, or his former boss now, is shaking her head saying no, because he keeps bringing stuff up. And he actually had brought this little booklet with him because he wanted to try and get these two databases to talk to each other, because that's what the big problem is with all their data, is they don't talk to each other. And he's written a program for this and wanted to push it. And Greer's like, that's nice. Let's go on to the next person.
Yep. He's like, okay, I've heard enough.
Yeah. And so he keeps working on this, on all his leads, and he brings it to Greer, and he goes, I think you should look at this. We're onto something. And Greer, by the way, has been downgraded. He used to be over in Yemen, and now he's been brought back to the States because of something that happened in Yemen. We don't know exactly what it is. We just know it was something bad to get him demoted to working back in the office in Langley. And he essentially is been told by Timothy Hutton, his boss, that if it was, that he went to bat for him and got him in place, which we know is really not that true. And essentially that he wouldn't be working there if he didn't go to bat.
But he also mentions there's a lot of people here who don't believe you deserve the second chance that you got. So there's that. Have a good talk.
Good luck at work, babe.
Yeah.
There you go. And so he's looking out for his career as well. At this point. And so when Jack comes in with this information and says, I've got this stuff, we should move on it, we should freeze this account, he says, no, you don't have enough. He goes, you need to, you almost have it. You're almost there. And Jack gets pissed off and goes around behind his back and actually gets Treasury involved and has Treasury do this and freeze the account. Which, of course, Greer gets a phone call from his friend over in Yemen, in the Yemen office, going, "Hey, what's going on with this? Do you guys really want us to do this?" And of course, he brings Jack in and starts yelling at him with everyone in full view because he has a big window in his office there, and essentially saying, "You know what? We could have actually had people tail these people. We could have." He basically tells them all the steps that they could have done before freezing the account.
Yep. Then calls him out. He's like, "How long you been doing this? 4 years? Oh, 4 years. Okay." Big guy starts clapping.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, get the fuck out of my office.
Exactly. Yeah. So Greer ends up actually putting some tails on the bank itself, some surveillance on the bank. And they also tap the bank manager as well to work for them. And they see these two guys come in and they can't get any intel on them. So they can't hear anything that's going on. So they end up coming in and taking them, basically abducting these two guys. And Greer comes, it's kind of funny. At the same time, Jack actually gets a call from his old boss from 5 years ago, who used to actually work with him in Wall Street, and says, "Hey, you want to come by my place on Sunday? I'm having a little birthday party. It's going to be some friends. Just come on by." And he really doesn't want to. And he goes, "No, I'm asking you as a friend."
Yeah. Like, all right. Even though he hasn't talked to him in 5 years.
Yeah. So he comes by and it's a big party. It's a huge party. And the guy has a house right on the waterfront there. So it's going to be really expensive.
Yeah. And somewhere on the East Coast, wherever the hell they are.
Yeah. And so he's telling Jack that basically, all this could have been yours as well if you hadn't been such a damn Boy Scout. And he's trying to pump him for information on North Korea because he's doing business with a group in South Korea. Yeah. And just wants to know if it's going to be okay.
He just wants, some tips.
Yeah.
Some tips so he can invest in the South Korean company and wants to know if North Korea is going to get hot or not. And Jack's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly. And so he meets, and the guy basically calls him a Boy Scout, says, you got to drop this idealistic Boy Scout routine. Otherwise, you're just not going to make any money. You're going to die poor, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, he's like, you're going to deny all this, and he shows like his big house and his big party, and he's all, you're lying to yourself. This is what you want, and he's like, Jack's like, all right, whatever. Goes and gets a beer,
and he meets Kathy, and Kathy is Joe's daughter.
Right after he talks shit about him a little bit, though.
Yeah, right after he talks shit about him, and he goes, well, at least he didn't call me an asshole. And she goes, yeah, you got that going for you. Yep. And that's when he finds out that she's his daughter. And he goes, oh, you're not going to tell him, are you? She goes, no, I don't follow what he says anyway.
And then a helicopter flies over and picks him up.
Yeah.
Which was great. I thought that was a good scene.
Because he's explaining what he does. She's an epidemiologist, and he goes, I'm just an analyst. He goes, it's really boring work. And after he says it's really boring work, that's when the helicopter flies over, lands, and they're going through the crowd going, Dr. Ryan, and he raises his hand, like, you need to come with us.
I need your car keys so I can drive your key to your apartment. Okay.
Yeah, so he ends up getting flown out to the tarmac where he meets Greer, and Greer's like, we're going to Yemen because they got your guy, and you're the only one who understands all this bank crap, and we need you there so you can ask specific questions for him. And he's trying to protest at first. He's like, look, this is the deal. Get on the fucking plane or go home, and we're done. And so he gets on the plane, and they fly out.
This makes sense for plot reasons. I don't have a problem with it. I would just say in real life, I certainly hope there's more than one guy who understands this bank crap.
Yeah.
Especially when he's running the terror financing division. So, listen, I could see somebody being in charge of a division and not knowing shit about it in the government. Believe me, that's absolutely the most believable thing about this. But yeah, I think there would be more than one person who understands the bank crap.
Yeah. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief in this episode. I mean, a lot of suspension of disbelief. There's a lot of coincidences, and there's stuff that you can see coming from about a mile away. So he ends up going there to Yemen. There's a little compound that they have these two guys in, and they've got hoods on them, and they're playing country music. blaring country music.
And they showed a scene, which, it was kind of a place when we meet a new. I forgot the character's new name. He's a CIA op, and they show him grabbing a couple guys who were talking to a bank manager. So there was one scene where we're in the middle of a town, and
they grabbed him. Yeah,
they grabbed him. They had surveyed them a little bit. We had, it was pretty cool op, and they showed some girl writing in a on her pad, but she had like a microphone in her pen. So this is some of the spy stuff that I kind of liked. I was like, all right, if they do some more of this, it's cool. They plopped us right in the middle of that scene. So before it started, I was like, are these good guys or the bad guys? Because we keep cutting in to another compound in Syria where we're following this wife around, and that's all I guess they said her name once, and she's making tea, and it shows her playing with the kids, but there's also she's obviously married to somebody very important, right? And some guys come over and offer to leave the brother there at the compound, and
we hear the name Suleiman.
Yeah, it turns out to be a white guy. And it shows them like making Molotov cocktails and in a compound with a bunch of computers. So they're cutting this in between the Jack Ryan scenes.
Yeah. And so Suleiman, by the way, is it's supposed to be, it translates to man of peace.
Man of peace.
And this is the guy who they're saying is the new bin Laden.
Yeah.
And she's married to this guy Suleiman, and that's where we're going with this. So they suspect, well, they don't know for sure who the two guys are that they have in custody at the moment are. They just know that they're players for this Suleiman guy.
Yep.
And so they're going to interrogate them. And they, like I said, they have hoods on and they're blaring country music, some really bad country music too, which is all of it. Yeah, you can send your hate mail to me on that one.
It's not all bad. Johnny Cash is not bad.
I don't consider Johnny Cash country though. That's kind of weird, but
he is.
Yeah, I know. So we end up having them interrogate. So we find out one's the bodyguard and one is he's the courier, if you will. And so they're talking to the courier. They're trying to find out what what's on his phone there, or what they're actually, where the money is for, what the money's for. And when Jack actually mentions Eurotrack, I believe is what it's called. And it's basically a way of adding euros onto a bank card with the phone. And that's how they're laundering the money. Excuse me. And as soon as he mentions this, one of the guys, the bodyguard, perks his head up like he understands. And Jack sees this and understands this. And he basically gets tired of the interrogation after a couple hours, and he goes and stands outside. He goes outside the door and gets some fresh air. And he goes and talks to the bodyguard, brings him some food, brings him some water, gets to know him a little bit. And he goes, hey, your name, isn't that Lebanese? And he's kind of trying to get to know him and stuff like that. And
he's trying to smooth him up. He's basically like separating him. He's like, you got the big cat over there. You're just a bodyguard. You're not involved. Let's have some food and we'll talk and maybe you'll get out of this,
Yeah. And in the meantime, we've got some guys pull him to the front gate, and they've got 4 dead bodies that they want to show the guy at the gate there, because I guess they get money for every
somebody's on the list. If they knock some names off the list, then it's a couple of drone strike victims.
Yeah, exactly. So they look at the bodies and they say, okay, let's bring them inside, put them in the cooler for the doc to look at later. And immediately what I think is, oh, these bodies are loaded full of dynamite or bombs or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
They're going,
definitely set up.
Yeah. And they take off. So in the meantime, Jack's still talking to this guy and he's asking him, just some basic questions here and there. And in the meantime, we go back into the morgue and we see one of the bodies move. And we see an eye open up, and this guy pulls off part of a face that's on top of his face. He literally shaved someone's face off. He gets up because he's playing possum. He goes and checks 2 of the bodies, and the second body he rips open and pulls out pieces of a gun.
He pulled a Cassidy from Preacher.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And basically puts all these gun pieces together, and that's when we see a car coming across the desert. and they're like, okay, why is this asshole coming back? Is what the guys at the gate are asking. And maybe he wants more money. And he's by himself in the car, and he stops outside the gate, and he's just revving his engine. And then he, floors it and goes straight for the gate, and they start shooting him. They kill him, and he makes it up to the gate but doesn't get through it. And then the car explodes, opening up the gate to everything. And that's when all hell starts breaking loose. We got other cars coming in with guns and stuff like that. And, there's explosions. And of course, everyone that was inside the interrogation areas have come out, leaving the guys in there by themselves, chained up.
Yep. And Jack stays back with the bodyguard.
The bodyguard, yeah. And so we end up having, this firefight happening, and the guy who had snuck in with the bodies there, he actually sneaks in to the interrogation areas, kills one soldier, has another one with a gun held to his head, and says, "Show me where they are. Show me where he is. Show me where he is," actually is what he says, where you're holding him. And they take him into where the courier is.
Who looks like the main guy, right? Like the main courier, the nicer dressed one, not the bodyguard.
And he turns his gun on him and just offs him.
Yep.
And he goes, "Where's the other one at?"
The other one. Yep.
Yeah. And that's the one that Jack is with, of course. So he goes in. Jack has his ear to the door, and he hears him, and he hides behind the door when it opens up. And we see the gun coming in, and of course the bodyguard yells, he's behind the door, and the soldier yells, "Run!" And Jack, slams the door into the gun, gets the gun off the guy, throws it, and they start fighting. And the soldier's been shot too; he's dead. And they're going at it hand to hand. And the guy who came in, the dead guy, let's just call him that, the non-dead guy, pulls a knife off the dead soldier and slashes Jack. And then actually they get into a headlock match there, and he pushes him on top of the table because the bodyguard is still chained to the table, and he's trying to reach the gun, that falling gun, with his foot. But then when Jack ends up there, they're both got him pinned down. They're trying to fight him.
Yeah, so he's got Jack down with the chains from what he was chained with the table. So he's being strangled while he's got a stranglehold on the other guy who's trying to free the bodyguard.
And Jack ends up
get out of this one.
Yeah. And in the meantime, people are just dying outside. I mean, Greer's out there. He's gotten guns now at this point. They're trying to get to the APC.
Matisse, I think the guy's name was, the CIA op, the blonde one. Yeah. They're trying to they're trying to secure the front gate. And people are just dying everywhere. And it's like, you could hear the bullets popping off of off people's helmets and stuff.
Yeah. And mortars going off, because they're shooting mortars into the compound and all this stuff. And Jack ends up kicking off the one guy off of him, rolls off, gets to the soldier just as we see the bodyguard pull up the gun, or actually, excuse me, the guy who came in, pull up the soldier's gun and points it at him, and he holds up the grenade. He's got the soldier's grenade in his hand. And he says, "Yeah, you shoot me and we all die." And he goes, "I think you're bluffing." And he goes, "Oh, you think so?" And he pulls up, and he's got the pin in the other hand. So it's a standoff at this point. So the bodyguard says, "Get the keys from the guard and unlock me," which they do. And he goes, "Okay, we're leaving." And he goes, "Oh, you're not an analyst." And he goes, "And yeah, you're not a bodyguard."
And you're not a bodyguard. And he figures out that that's the guy. He had the guy the whole time.
Yeah. So this is our main guy, Suleiman.
And we also find out that the guy who was playing, had the skin suit on, was his little brother, and they were the two brothers from the scene in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So we saw their motivation. And again, it was 1983 Beirut, so it could have been our response to when the Marines, the terrorist act on the Marines that killed 300 Marines back then. It could have been that, or just some fictional thing that they make up. Not sure. Or that might have not been American planes, but that's their motivation. We get another flashback, and we see the brothers post explosion. They did survive. And the older brother's going to the little brother's, just his legs are completely fucked up. And
he's got a burning beam on his legs that are still burning his legs. Yeah. And he's screaming.
So when I'm assuming his little brother came to save him, there was a little moment there, and I was like, that was kind of cool. But, and then we got a shot on Jack Ryan and Greer looking off, and it's very 24, and I know
Yeah.
Tom Clancy was 24 before 24. I know. But the fact of the matter is, like, 24, it was a TV show before Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. So, and Jack Ryan's going to be a little more nerdy than Kiefer Sutherland was in 24, but I still got that vibe a little bit. The camera was less shaky, thankfully.
Yeah.
The shoot, but it was, I don't know, it didn't blow me away. That's the only thing. I mean, lack of a better term.
Yeah, and honestly, it ends. Basically, the episode ends with the door closing and them getting away, and we see their brothers, and that's the end of it right there. And the end of the first episode. And yeah, like Gary said, there was nothing that really kind of blew me away. You can see things coming. I was actually kind of surprised that the guy played dead and got brought in instead of just packing the bodies with explosives and blowing up the compound from the inside and then hitting it. But then I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, because then you have a little bit more, I guess you could say, skin in the game by having these guys, this guy coming in and helping his brother.
Literally, he had some skin
in the game.
Somebody else's skin in the game.
I thought I was going to get away with that one, but
Jody, I kind of agree with you. I think Alec Baldwin was a better Jack Ryan.
Yeah, me too. And going back to an Alec Baldwin comment just recently when he was going to play Thomas Wayne, he goes, "There's 25 other guys that could play this." I kind of felt that way with Jack Krasinski. To tell you the truth, the way he played this, I was like, yeah, there's about 25 other guys that could have played this role too.
Yeah, I understand why they got him though. He's
he's hot right now.
Yeah, he's very popular, and that's how you cast. You cast on who's hot right now, because you need to get butts in seats, eyes on screen. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. It definitely, I'm sure some people will enjoy this show. It looked expensive. It really did. I mean, that's the one thing. Like, I'm a huge fan of a show called The Expanse. So I don't know how many Jack Ryan people are even going to hear this. I highly recommend it, even if you're not into sci-fi. And it's now going to be on Amazon, and this makes me hopeful that we're going to get a bigger budgeted Expanse, which makes me excited. So I'm cool with that. But yeah, this is a very, I definitely will not be continuing watching this.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm really sick, but I don't know.
Grevlin and Rich Silverwood Rich Silverwood, who's new, by the way, welcome, says the next 2 episodes get better, Gary. And then Grevlin said you need the first 3 episodes to really get hooked. I've watched the first 4 episodes, and I'm still not seeing. I mean, there's some interesting stuff in there, but to me, when I step back and I started looking at it again, I'm like, okay, so they basically took a Jack Ryan movie and stretched it into 8 episodes, is what they did. There was a lot of filler in here that could have been condensed into a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah. So, what, I'll tell you what I'll do this weekend, because I've got nothing to do. Since Mrs. Nerdrotic has already gone in 6 episodes, and she kind of likes it. She said it had a good beginning, but then once it gets past the 4th and 5th episode, it starts kind of getting but maybe her and I'll finish it and do a season review.
Yeah, I'm already 4 episodes in, so there's only 4 more to go, so I'm going to finish it out. It's not
I can do
difficult.
I can watch the rest. I mean, like I said, it's not terrible, man. It's tough to judge it off of one show. It really is.
It's not terrible, but it's also not something that I could say gets the Nerdrotic seal of approval.
No, but we don't hand those out to just anybody.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, there's shows that are good that don't get it. So
yes, that's true.
I would say, like, The Runaways and The Gifted do not have it, but they're good shows that we'll cover. But like Counterpart got it like within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Counterpart, Mr. Robot,
Taboo.
Yeah, stuff like that. So should we go to the chat and take a look and see what's going on, what everyone else thought here? And
Grovlane. God, I always mess that up. Grovlane. I can say it. I agree with you. Hunt for Red October is a very good movie.
Viking Bitch says, what I watched reminded me of Homeland. This show is not for me, not weird enough. Exactly the same thing with me. It really reminded me of Homeland, and Homeland wasn't for me either. It was just kind of like, it's okay, but it's a very
Homeland was weirder than this, though. Homeland was dark.
Yeah, Homeland was dark because you had the brainwashing thing that was happening, and that was fairly interesting. This one is more cookie cutter. I could say it's Clancy cookie cutter is what I mean, where you know what's going to happen because of how Clancy writes things.
And he's of his time too. Like the stuff he wrote was really good at the time. I read the books. I read Patriot Games and A Clear and Present Danger. Those are good books.
Yeah, see, for me,
bad about them.
I read Without Remorse, which is a great Punisher book, by the way, and Rainbow Six. So that's the John Clark novels.
Yeah,
and John Clark is an awesome Punisher. That honestly, if they ever do those movies, that's what they're going to be compared to, unfortunately, because that's what he was in the books. I'm sorry. I really like the books. Don't get me wrong, but like I said. Grevlin says Jack Ryan's history is usually the same: Marine, copter crash, really smart. Yeah. Yeah, it's just they change it again, like the Punisher. It's the same thing. Depending on the era, they just change when stuff happened. So
well, that's understandable though. I mean, the Punisher can't be a Vietnam vet forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Vet.
But with Jack Ryan, he was never in the field. That was the whole thing with Hunt for Red October. Was supposed to be the first time he was literally out in the field. And they've kind of changed that. They've retconned it now, or they keep going back. Oh no, before that,
was he? I mean, I honestly can't remember. Was he like an ex-Marine or before?
Yeah, he was a Marine. Yeah, Grevlin even says he was a Marine. The helicopter crash, that's all part of his backstory.
Yeah.
But he was never out in the field as an analyst. So they keep retconning him into, oh, well, before Hunt for October, he was out in the field when he did this. Oh, and even further back, he did this. And when he, and they keep going further and further back. And it's like, no, it was supposed to be Hunt for October was the first time. So that's kind of what cheeses me off on that one. Jody says at Grevlin, yeah, I assume that he was even former special forces or something before joining the CIA. Nope, he was just a normal run-of-the-mill Marine. So
a grunt.
Yeah. Well, he was an officer, but he was an officer. He was.
Yeah, he was an officer, so he wasn't a grunt. Yeah. But he was in combat. They show, well, at least in the show, they showed a flashback of him, his little PTSD flashback when he's looking at the ceiling fan.
Yeah, you get more info as it goes further in about what happened to him. So not a lot, but some.
Viking bitch, it's always I'm the same way as you, but that you gotta temper those expectations. It sucks, but yeah, you see a show like Legion or Daredevil season 1, you're like, I'm ruined for every other TV show now. But then Taboo comes around, Counterpart. You just got to roll into it going, it's going to be The Gifted. If I'm watching Jack Ryan, I'm expecting some, for lack of a better word, normie spy shit. So, and I'm okay with that,
Yeah. My expectations were fairly normal for this. I wasn't setting anything high on it. And I know what I know what Tom Clancy stuff is. I've played The Division. Like I said, I've read his books. I've seen some of the movies, and I know what to expect from it. And so I wasn't setting my expectations like really high. Darth Barbecue says the first episode reminded me a lot of Zero Dark 30, the movie. Yeah, kind of, in a little bit, but a lot more analyst stuff too, a lot more banking stuff, which I didn't mind, tell you the truth. When he's explaining, I know they dumbed it down quite a bit, but still they did a good job in explaining how he followed the money, and he did it in a concise way.
Yeah, I have a relative who was an analyst, retired now, but always loved Tom Clancy and said it was pretty solid on like accuracy and not perfect, but yeah. So and he would know, he would fucking know.
Revlin says the show has the spy movie grit, solid writing, good acting. John Kay plays Jack Ryan perfectly, half geek and half ass kicker.
Yeah. I'll keep watching it. What the hell? I could slice out. I just don't need to sleep. No, I kind of want to get Mrs. Nerdrotic to come in and do a full season review. So
yeah,
that'd be fun.
Jody says, yeah, Timothy Hutton playing another character named Nathan made me think of Nathan Ford from Leverage.
You know what? I kind of like Leverage. I stopped watching it because I was working at the comic shop, but I liked Leverage. I thought it was kind of a decent show. I'll just never forget Timothy Hutton being in like I'm sorry, folks, if there's a fan of this, I'm sure there's a fan of this movie out there, but a movie called Ordinary People. Does anybody remember Ordinary People?
Yeah.
Hollywood made a movie called Ordinary People. It's sorry.
That won Best Picture.
That one Best Picture, and it was like so unlike anybody ordinary ever. Yeah, it won Best Picture.
Jody says he's talking to Grevlin again. Seems to be a good number since it's an initial season, because it's 8 episodes, by the way, this first season. And I'd rather have a few quality episodes than 22 with a few good ones and mostly mediocre filler.
Agreed on that.
Yeah,
100%.
We've talked about this before in a lot of our podcasts where we see like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all these guys are actually bringing down the number of episodes. They're not doing this 22 or 32 episodes a season kind of thing anymore. They're bringing it down to 8 episodes, 10 episodes, maybe 12 episodes a season, which actually helps quite a bit because then your actors can go off and do movies in the off season.
You don't lock people down for a half a year and they can shoot movies and be in multiple series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's that. Well, I mean, and honestly, what the UK has been doing that forever. So,
and you just get better shows.
Came around. Yeah,
you get better stories, more concise stories. You don't get filler episodes. I'm looking at you, Luke Cage, season 1. Grevlin says in the story, Jack Ryan is expert in the bank crap for this specific geographical area and the perps involved. Yeah, he was for the Yemen region, for the Yemen region. That's correct. I did not elaborate that, but yes, that was what he was being brought in for. But at the same time, they were saying, he's the only person in all of this stuff that understands that specific region for that, and I'm like, no, usually the military is a little more redundant. They will have a second person to back them
very up. Redundant. They will have a third and fourth and fifth and sixth person. I mean, now maybe they establish later in the show that like he's like Stephen Hawking with financing, so they really need him. I understand that I get, and they did show Greer kind of looking over his background and getting to know him a little bit. Just want to point out that Ordinary People won Best Picture over The Elephant Man, Coal Miner's Daughter, Raging Bull, and Tess.
Yep.
And it's not better than any of those 4 movies, by the way.
No, it's actually forgettable. Completely forgettable.
Oh my God. I would okay. I'll pick Coal Miner's Daughter for that year. I love that movie.
See, I still like Raging Bull with the hit me. Come on, what are you? Pussy, hit me.
Good. But Sissy Spacek fucking owned Coal Miner's Daughter. That was such a good movie.
Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro together in a movie, man. And this is before it became, a standard.
Yeah.
Then
of course there's the Elephant Man. We can't forget that one either.
Yeah, the Elephant Man.
Ordinary People over those 4 movies is ridiculous.
They're redoing the Elephant Man, by the way, too.
Oh God, what? Never mind. I don't even talk about it. They're redoing everything.
I know.
Guess what? Prediction: it'll be completely forgettable, and then someday we'll go, God, they redid the Elephant Man. I kind of remember that.
Hound 3000. I know you're out of here, but he asked. The Hunt for Red October is also a Jack Ryan story, right? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
The first Jack Ryan movie, and I believe the first book, if I'm not mistaken.
And I was playing a Russian with my
Russian. That's right.
My accent. Yes.
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery
as a Russian submarine captain.
Where's my Thor Connery? I forgot where I put it.
He's back, isn't he? Behind
there. You? Yeah, I got to bring him back up. Thor Connery.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
I should give that away. That should be a giveaway. Thor Connery.
Viking bitch says, yeah, country music gives me the hives. And Rich Silverwood says, yep, that's real torture right there.
Well, I mean, if it's Toby Keith, yeah, okay. I mean, but let's not be dissing, Hank Williams, fucking, and Johnny Cash and stuff like that. That old school stuff.
Sorry, whenever I hear country music, I flash back to the Blues Brothers
right there.
We have both kinds, country and western.
That's right.
Oh man, you gotta love it. Slurmy Scott says, love when Johnny Cash sang Your Own Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode. Yeah, that's an awesome
Hank
Awesome cover.
Williams. Love that old country music. Fucking love it.
Talking a lot about country music here. And then they're talking to each other, and then Hootie and the Blowfish got mentioned in there somehow.
Oh my god, yeah, Forrest Gump went over Shawshank. I mean, like, I kind of like Forrest Gump. Okay, I think it's a credit in editing. It's like one of the best edited films ever, but Shawshank is so much better. It really is. Love Shawshank.
Grevlin says, I think this is Amazon's opening salvo to begin taking over. They've been doing it for a while now. So
no, I think I agree with Grove Lane. I think they have been quiet about it. They've rolled out a couple of shows, but I mean, like, listen, even I'm going to say it on purpose now, Man in the White Castle, the guy with the cheeseburgers. They really need to do. Harold and Kumar need to come back and do a Man in the White Castle movie. Okay, I'm pitching that right now. That they need to do that.
Sorry, I was just saying.
They need to go back in time and fight Nazis and eat cheeseburgers. I think that, like, I'm getting this movie in my head. Nazis are so hot right now because everybody wants them to exist or something. I don't know. It's weird. So yeah, I think Amazon, this is their kickoff. I completely agree. The way they've been promoting it, the way it was promoted at Comic-Con, the way they were talking about things at Comic-Con at the panel, this is the first of their foray of shows of, like, here we are, we're going to be a player. They're going to surpass Hulu this year, probably. And they'll be a player against Netflix, because the biggest difference between Amazon and Netflix is Jeff Bezos has his own money, and Netflix is using investor money.
Yeah, and this is the second big year at Comic-Con that Amazon's had a huge presence. Last year, I mean, they had the animatronic tick antennae, the gigantic ones, and then they had a escape room and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And this year they had, for Jack Ryan, they had, and it took people 15 minutes per person to get through. Like, you go through a zip line, you rappelled down from a helicopter, all kinds of shit that was out there. And so they went big. They went big both years.
And so they I'm forgetting the creator of the show, but
Carlton Cuse.
Carlton Cuse was there, and they had Sam Esmail there. So they've got the creator, Mr. Robot, the creators of The Expanse there. They had Gail Ann Hurd, who was like one of the greatest producers in Hollywood history. She's doing a couple shows. So yeah,
and Ben Edlund.
And Ben Edlund was up there. Yeah, God,
one of the greatest writers.
One of the best writers in TV. And I doubt the Tick is the only thing he'll be doing for Amazon.
No.
So Amazon's coming.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
We actually used to call Ben Edlund, Gary and I, we call him the fixer, because whenever there was a TV show that was having problems, like on Fox or something like that, they'd bring in Ben Edlund, and boom, he'd turn that show around, like within a couple episodes of a new season.
Paulie Simeon, Harold and Kumar go back to Hamburg to find the secret ingredient to the original hamburger, and the secret ingredient was a ground up Bill and Ted. I was gonna say, you know what? We should get, like, the guys from Beer Fest teaming up with Harold and Kumar. That would be awesome. I don't drink nor smoke pot, but fucking Beer Fest is one of my favorite all-time movies. I'm very sorry to say. That movie makes me chuckle every time.
Pickle says, one thing jumped out at me. They have Jack Ryan in kind of a generic spy drama. It's not feeling like a Tom Clancy story. Yeah. That was the thing that got to me as well, was I wasn't feeling this as Tom Clancy. It had Tom Clancy elements to it, but it wasn't a Tom Clancy story other than having the characters. So.
Oh, that's good to see, Tim F. I want to see that. Just talking about, the buddy of mine recorded the Expanse panel at DragonCon. Yeah, they were. God, it sucks that they weren't at San Diego and they decided to go to DragonCon, but that's cool. I'll watch all the videos. Maybe I'll do some video. You know what? I will do some videos from that stuff if there's, like, some really good news. That's good to hear that they're pumped up, though. I would be pumped up too, because just to swing it back here to Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. Jeff Bezos is putting some serious money behind these shows. I mean, the show, again, looked pretty good for a TV show. And just what we saw, the Sam Esmail which was not much, but the sets and everything looked amazing. So, yeah, I mean, not that Amazon needs our help with anything, because and if they not fancy Clancy Dennis.
And I said Clancy.
No.
What did I
That was
say?
Rich Silverwood. Oh, who knows? You know what? It's hard to keep track of what we say on these things.
Although Brad Enervold said something good. Best joke I ever heard was, you know who was the big winner at last night's Country Music Awards? Anyone that didn't watch. Boom.
All right. Like again, not a fan of modern country music, but there might be some fans out there, so we respect them.
I'm reading the quotes that we have.
Oh
here.
Yeah. Dennis is the arbiter of everything cool. Remember that, folks.
I am
Dennis
not.
Is the
I am
person
not
alive. No.
Pauly Simeon says storytelling is the oldest and highest art in my humble opinion. Yeah, it's the first. I mean, oral storytelling. Yeah. Brad Noble says Office Gym was great in 14 hours.
13 hours?
13 hours.
16 hours. 16 hours?
48 hours?
48
no, that's
hours.
A different
20,
that's a different movie.
20, yeah. 48 hours. Yeah, 48 hours is much better than 24 hours.
Mary Ashmead says, yeah, I'm glad they got a panel at Dragon Con. The actors are okay, so we're talking about The Expanse. Well, I'm at the end of the comments.
Yeah,
here.
we can't have this spiral into an Expanse conversation like they all do, although we love The Expanse. Those are for other podcasts. So yeah, we'll end it here. So I guess we'll do another podcast. We'll see if I can get Mrs. Nerdrotic to commit. I'll finish up the series. And then I'll let you know what I really think about it. Wasn't super impressed with the first episode though, but it didn't suck either. So
yeah, like I said, it didn't. It was a very. I liked it better than I liked 24. Let's just say that much.
Oh no, 24 was decent. I mean, it's good. The first season was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of 24. For some reason, it didn't do anything for me. But this one I liked better.
Ozark.
Than 24.
I got to see season 1 of Ozark before I see season 2 of Ozark.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Condor is this Condor Man? Brad Andervold, Condor the Man of the TV show, or is Condor the TV show? Don't know what that is. Sorry.
I have a question. Do you think this could expand into Tom Clancy's universe, Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, etc.? Asked Nyla Shadow. I would hope so. I mean, they can't do Hunt for Red October, but maybe they could find a way to do it.
They've been trying forever to do a John Clark movie or series, if you will. John Clark being, what Rainbow Six is from, and also Without Remorse, and that was played by William Dafoe, as a matter of fact, which was he did a great job with
making like a Tom Clancy televised universe.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool. Actually, I'd like that.
You could actually have, because since John Clark is actually the thread, if you will, between all of these things, because he's in all of them, you could actually do that where you make him the person that's going through all these different worlds, these Tom Clancy universes, and tie them together. That would be awesome, to tell you the truth. But they'd have to find somebody really good. Yeah, they'd really have to find somebody riveting to do that.
Well,
that's the problem.
Say that for every show. I don't want somebody bad or average. I'd rather have them be good. I mean, sometimes we're stuck with average,
Yeah,
it's an audience channel.
Oh, it's from 3 Days of the Condor. Okay, yeah, I don't know what the audience channel is. Sorry, Brad. I can take a look and see.
Yeah, we can check it out, Brad. Yeah, we're always open to suggestions, so thank you. We appreciate that. Clancy Brown or Thomas Jane? Why do I have to choose?
I think he's talking about for John Clark.
For John Clark, Tom Jane.
Yeah,
Clancy Brown. I mean, Clancy Brown if he was a younger Man of Action.
Yeah.
But Tom Jane. That's gonna be my answer for everything.
Yep.
Tom motherfucking Jane is great. Awesome. And Brad says it's better than Jack Ryan. So, all right, guys, we're gonna take off, and I guess I got some more TV to watch here. There will be more. We don't have anything scheduled other than a Patreon thing tomorrow, but there will be something. I promise you. Um, there's also going to be because exactly 3 people demanded it, and I am a man of the people. We're gonna do a video on. We're gonna do a room tour video. I'll Random 42.
The wall of figures.
Figures. We're gonna dust them off, and yeah, it is an excuse for me to dust. It's been about 6 months. God, that's a pain in the ass. So yeah, we'll check that out. So please check out nerdrotic.com. That's where all of our live streams are scheduled. The next show we are covering is Better Call Saul on Monday, then Castle Rock, which I'm loving, is on Tuesday night late. Oh, Mecca heard her name. What's up? I have my, oh, hey, there you go. I have my Babylon 5 watch party tomorrow. Then Doomcock streams at 5:30 p.m. There you go. Wow. Your Sunday is set. Your Sunday is set. Well, I'll make sure not to step on either of those for sure, because I'll be watching. So check out Mecha Random 42 if you're into Babylon 5. She's doing a watch party. Those are actually pretty fun. And Doomcock is in the evening. That's brilliant. I haven't seen my liege in a while. I was getting a little worried there. So yeah, lurking. That's good. And we still got to talk about the tribunal stuff, but I've been at work till like just about now when I started this. The Nerdrotic dungeon crawl. I like that, Philip K. Demick, but we can't go to the actual dungeon because you might see stuff that you could call like the police on me. You know, there's freezers down there and just a bunch of unmentionables. We'll just say.
It's the reason why I live in Southern California, as far away from it as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. You got freezers too, buddy.
I keep them off site, man.
Yes, random, then Doomcock tomorrow. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, everybody, have a great night here. Let's thank the people in the chat. I'm gonna get
so thanks, Brad Enerval, Mecha Random 42, Tim F, Third Door from the Left,
I like
Holly Simeon, Mary Ashmead, Philip A. Demick, Man of Action, Slurmy Scott, Penn Farm Girl. Who else we have? Rich Silverwood, welcome, by the way.
Yeah, welcome to the new folks. That's brilliant.
Yeah, Nihilist Shadow, Kirk Anderson. And yes, we are going to check out Manifest, by the way, Kirk Anderson.
Yes, we are.
Darth Barbecue, Elwin Ransom. Who else do we have? Pickle. Good to see you again, Pickle. Marcus Kahn, Grevlin. Who else do we have here? I know we had a few other people as well.
I gotta hit play on the
Viking Bitch. Viking Bitch was here. That's right. Brad Noble. Excuse me. Ken Jack Ben. And who else do we have? I know there's a few other people. Don Odin. Don Odin. And
it's a good last name.
It is a good last name.
That's a solid last name.
ODYN, spelled the old-fashioned way.
Let's see.
Yes, that's the way it's supposed to be.
I got stuck with freaking Beekler. Thanks, Dad.
And whoever else I missed here in the chat who's been around. There we go. Hound 3000. I know you had to leave early because of the spoilers. So and Alien Forms 1. Yeah. Well, he didn't know about it because he came in afterwards, after we did the signs, and people let him know.
Oh, that's cool. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. So anybody else that I missed, thank you for being in the chat here. And as Gary is showing you here, this is the video of our Patreons.
Yep, I'm coming right up. This is the $5 level. You get these 3 comic books. They were exclusives to the comic store that I used to own, the Comic Outpost. And this is from the $15 level. You get those comic books plus a What's in the Box box, which is like a Loot Crate box, except with cool shit. And handpicked by myself because it used to be mine, or it is mine right now, and then it's going to be yours. The last set of boxes, now I can't do this every time, but I'm so pissed at Star Wars. I got rid of all my original Star Wars figures that I played with as a kid, and I shared them with the patrons because you guys will get way more enjoyment out of them than I will anymore. And plus, I have a lot of fucking action figures, so I can give them to your kids, give them to your friends, sell them on eBay, blow them up with firecrackers, do whatever you want. It's cool. Yeah, and we also have a $1 level too, where you can just hit the tip jar. You will be getting more exclusive content. It's going to be like weekly content too. So patreon.com/nerdrotic. And Dennis runs the Facebook page. Facebook group is the Nerdrotic podcast group. And there's a page, which is the Nerdrotic podcast. If you get a chance, please check it out. It's a good way to communicate with the other Nerdrotics, the fine people in the chat. Also, I would like you to at least check out, you probably not to should you, but you should subscribe to Dictor Van Doomcock's channel, Mecha Random 42's channel, and Midnight's Edge After Dark. We're all part of this tribunal family, and it's been fun having like YouTube friends, and we have a lot of crossover in the chat. It's been great, and I think we all kind of feed off each other, and yeah, it's a cool group. So check them out. Dennis has his Twitter. It's at DeForest. Mine is at Nerdrotics. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's it. You got the partridge in the pear tree and everything.
Awesome. Dennis, take us out.
Children of Earth, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. And moderators, thank you for sharing that in the chat. I really appreciate it. Yes. Cheers, everybody. See you soon.
Everyone. Night.